I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is Jewel Hollow Overlook. This is mile marker 36. Great big parking area here. Yep, there it is, the gray ghost. And I am going to head over this way and see if I can find the Appalachian Trail and then hike that north, which is this way, up there to an area known as the Pinnacles. This is late October. I'm hoping maybe I can get some color shots today. We'll see. It's fairly warm here actually for late October. It's about 66 degrees right now where I'm standing. The elevation here is 3320. Okay, well right down there is the parking lot, and right here is the Appalachian Trail. See the white blaze? So we're going to go to the right, which is going to hike to the north towards Pinnacles. Three-tenths of a mile into my hike. The elevation here is 3350. There's the AT, that's where I came from, down at Jewel Hollow Overlook. And this is the intersection with Leading Ridge Trail. It heads up this way and then it goes down the side of the mountain like 1.2 miles down to the park boundary. There's no access down there though. You can't go anywhere when you get to the bottom except turn around and come back. And then this trail also heads over there. Maybe you can see Skyline Drive right over there. So when I come back, I'll probably turn left and go out that way to the road and just loop back to my car. But for now, we got a lot of climbing to do here, heading northbound on the AT. Up to Pinnacles. One mile into my hike, I'm at the summit now, Pinnacle Summit. The elevation here is 3720. That's where I came from, up the AT. Now, right here exactly at the summit, there's nothing to see, at least not yet. I need more leaves to fall off. But there's a viewpoint down here a short ways with some rock outcropping, so I'm going to go over here and try and get some pictures. And then I think I'm going to continue on towards the Bird's Nest Shelter and maybe stop there, get some water and a snack, and then start heading back. .1 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,700 feet. This is one of the outcroppings here where you can get some decent views. Back that way is where I came from. That's looking to the west. Luray, Virginia's down there. New Market Gap. The sun, it's only about 10:30, so the sun's still kind of low in the sky. And I'm going to be heading that way over towards Bird's Nest Shelter. I think I'm going to turn around at Bird's Nest and come back this way. When I come back, it'll probably be about an hour later, so the sun will be higher in the sky. Might get some different colors. .9 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,300 feet. I stepped off the trail because I saw something over here. The trail is right over there. Well, first of all, I noticed that there's like this turnout here, which is unusual. And then I saw a pipe. I'll get a picture of it. I saw a pipe with a piece of screen on the end of it down there, and I followed that pipe up here, and this big mound that you see, let me back up, I can't back up much more than this. That big mound right there is a big tank. Now, let me see, let me look at my GPS. We're very close to the Bird's Nest Shelter. So, and when I get down a little lower, you'll see that there's a wellhead down there. So I've got a theory that this is a big honking water tank that used to be used for the bird's nest shelter. When I get down there, you'll see there used to be a water fountain and things like that down there that aren't there anymore. So I think a little lower down there was a wellhead. It pumped the water up to here, and it was stored in this great big tank. Man, it's big. And then that right there looks like a vent. That looks like a vent, and then this right here is like an overflow that goes down there into that like turnaround area. So I'm thinking that turnaround was used by some trucks to come to come up here and put this big honking tank in here. It starts there and it ends over there. I'll mark it with my GPS. All right, well there's the wellhead right there. It's got a metal cover on it, and it looks like it's bolted down and locked so nobody can get in there. And then that tank that I was pointing out that I found is right up there on top of that hill. So my theory is they pumped the water out of the well there, and it pumped it up the hill here to that big tank, and then it comes down to Bird's Nest Shelter, which is right down there. All right, well, I'm a little lower down now. Up there's the wellhead. And then up higher is that big tank. Here's a trail coming down to Bird's Nest. And right there's the water pipe. Heading on down this way. I think it's all been turned off now though. Two miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3280. And this is Bird's Nest Shelter number 3. We're looking at the back side of it. I'll go around so you can see the front. Right there is what's left of a water fountain. So that would have been one of the reasons for the water up there. So there's the fountain. It's been disconnected. See, water pipe coming up, been cut. So it's just a non-functioning monument at this point. Over here is a fireplace, and I think there might be another one around front here. I'm not sure. Back over there, that big red rectangular box, that's a bear-proof storage container for food. Now in the old days, people had to hang their food up there on those inverted umbrella looking things, those bear poles. But nowadays they want you to put it in the bear-proof box back there. Okay, now I'm around the front of Bird's Nest Shelter. There's the front of it. I'll get up closer in a minute. I came down the hill here because I saw this. Here's another fireplace. This one's got iron grating across it for cooking, but from the looks of it, I don't think there's any more cooking going on here. So let's go up and check out the shelter itself. Here's a look at the inside of Bird's Nest Shelter 3. This is one of the few that still have the fireplace in it. So there's the fireplace at that end. A lot of them, they've either taken them out or bricked them up. And then here's a sleeping pad. You can sleep. And I see holes drilled in the concrete like there and there on down the line, in line with the front. That tells me that once upon a time they probably had this whole thing closed off and then had a change of heart and opened it back up. But anyway, there you go. There's Bird's Nest Shelter number 3. Here's the outhouse. It's one of the new composting ones. I'll walk around and get a picture of the front. But the way they build them here in the park, the composting crib at the bottom is double wide. So the left side there is in use and the right side is covered in composting currently. And then after a couple of years, the composted part can be safely spread out on the ground or carted away, but probably up here spread out on the ground. And then they'll take that outhouse and slide it over here and then take that little cover and put it over there, and that side gets to compost for a year or two. Okay, I'm just past the Bird's Nest Shelter and the outhouse, and then you'll see this signpost here. This is the access road that comes up from Skyline Drive and then heads that way up to the shelter. And I'm going to follow this on down, and this will take us past the Meadow Spring and then down to Skyline Drive, and I guess I'm going to loop back on Skyline Drive. I flip-flopped in my mind 3 or 4 times about whether to loop back or just go back the way I came, but I think I'm going to loop back because we can see the spring, and there's kind of an interesting survey benchmark down here on Skyline Drive if I can find it, and then we can go past the Pinnacles overlook. 2.4 miles into my hike, I'm down to 3,060 feet, and here's the meadow spring. I'll go in there and get a couple pictures of the spring. I'm standing on the access road. Up that way is Bird's Nest Shelter, and the spring's over here. And after that, we'll continue on down to Skyline Drive. I know I'm close to Skyline Drive because I can hear the cars down there. Okay, here's the Meadow Spring. There's the spring box. It's got a lid on it. Doesn't look like it's chained down though. And then you got this old school iron pipe coming out of here. See if I can get over here without getting wet. There you go. Look at that. I bet that tastes good. .4 miles into my hike, I'm down to 3,020 feet. And right here in the flow zone for the Meadow Spring, the spring that I showed you is up that way a little ways. And there are, hold on, let me see if I can get over here. There are some metal pipes coming down, I guess from that spring box, and into this metal shed here. Don't know what's in here. Possibly a storage tank. I don't see any electricity that ever went to this thing, but anyway, it's got a padlock on it that says US NPS, National Park Service. So there you go. And it's sitting on a concrete pedestal, so something they put in. .7 miles into my hike. I'm down to 2,960 feet. Along Skyline Drive, I'm standing on the rock retaining wall, and right here, I'll get close-ups, is a National Geodetic Survey gravity mark. It's marked NGS BRCL 260, and then the date is 1989. I'll explain the BRCL part when I do my map talk. 4.8 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3460. And I'm right next to a bend here in Skyline Drive, and I was looking for the old abandoned Pinnacle Ridge Trail, and I found this old National Park Service benchmark. And actually this looks like it might have been the old road. So one of these days in the wintertime, I'm going to come back here and go down here and see if I can find the old abandoned trail. This is a map of today's hike. It's two quadrangle maps pasted together. The upper part is Thornton Gap, 1994, and the lower section down here is Old Rag Mountain, 1994. And the purpose of the hike was to hike an area known as Pinnacles. I parked right here at Jewel Hollow Overlook. This is mile marker 36. From there you get onto the Appalachian Trail and hike north on the AT. When you get to here, you'll see an intersection with Leading Ridge Trail. Leading Ridge Trail is a little over a mile long down the side of the mountain to the park boundary. Now you can't go any further than this because you'd be on private property if you go any further. So you can hike down to here, but then you have to turn around and hike back up. That's a really steep trail there, by the way. Continue northbound on the AT, you go through some switchbacks. Now right there is the summit, but there's really nothing to see there. It's all treed in. So continuing to the north a few hundred yards, you'll find some rock outcroppings right here where I marked this as a viewpoint. From here you can see to the west and down here in Jewel Hollow and everything, and get some pretty good shots. Continue on to the north, you come down off the summit. And when I got to here is where I found that big water tank that's buried in the ground. And it has pipes running down to Bird's Nest Shelter 3, which is right here. Got some pictures of that stuff. And then the AT continues on to the north like this, but I turned right and headed down towards Skyline Drive. The Meadow Spring is here on a little side trail. Just below that, I didn't mark it, but just below that is that metal shed. Came down to Skyline Drive. And then I went north on Skyline Drive for a short distance looking for this survey benchmark, BRCL 260. I'll explain that in a minute. And then basically looped back for a couple of miles on Skyline Drive. Got some shots from Pinnacle Overlook, which is here. And then right around this bend, I found a National Park Service benchmark, which looks like used to be a road coming off here and heading down the side of the mountain here on Pinnacle Ridge. This is abandoned at this point. I'll have to go back sometime and see what I can find there. And then basically finished my loop back to Jewel Hollow. Now, this benchmark that's marked BRCL 260. BRCL stands for Blue Ridge Calibration Line. It's a line of markers that runs from Dulles Airport all the way up to Skyland Resort in Shenandoah National Park. It was established in 1985 by the National Geodetic Survey, and the purpose of these stations are points on the Earth where the force of gravity is precisely known. And these stations are used to calibrate gravity meters. There's 41 of them between Dulles Airport and Skyland Resort. The one at Dulles, each one is slightly less gravity than the one before. So as you go from Dulles Airport up to Skyland Resort, you're going higher and higher in elevation. The gravity becomes lower and lower. It starts out, the first one is marked Washington R, and the last one is marked Skyland B. And everything in between is Blue Ridge Calibration Line and then a number like 10, 20, 30, 40. The one I showed you is BRCL 260, and then up to 300, and then the last one is the Skyland B. So that's the story with the Blue Ridge Calibration Line. It's used for gravity meters. This hike ended up being 5.7 miles with a total ascent of 1,017 feet. And that was the hike for today.